Greetings, scholars. We're back with another Degrassi video. I think this is the last of my necessary favorites and least favorites lists of Degrassi. So this one was probably the hardest to do, and that is I have in my notes that this was recommended by Selkie. I think they wanted me to just do my top favorite and least favorite from like all Degrassi. I don't remember. So anyway, thank you, Selkie. Previous videos on my top favorite and least favorite episodes, I will try to remember to link below. This one was hardest for me to make because I don't really have any least favorite episodes except for one. So I literally had to go through the list of Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High episodes and just say, like, I guess this would be one of my least favorites out of this series, but there aren't really any that I hate. So let's keep that in mind. Okay, now, here we go. My top 10 least favorite episodes of DJH and DH. Number 1, The Experiment, aka Yick cheats in school. Yick, convinced Mr. Raditch is picking on him, sets up an experiment, handing in an old paper of Stephanie's as his own. Joey finds himself in hot water when Kathleen and Melanie find out the drugs he has sold them are vitamin pills. Okay, I love the vitamin storyline. Okay, I love that. But beyond that, something about The Experiment is really weird. The pacing is strange. Like, it feels kind of boring. Arthur and Yick aren't really that compelling of actors yet. So it looks like you're just watching two young boys recite lines to each other. And I'm not quite sure what the message is. It seems to almost be implying that that first round of cheating was okay. Like, as though The Experiment was actually, like, condonable. But then the second time, well, that's when it became wrong. And that's when they got in trouble. I don't know. That was weird. Least favorite episode, number 2. The Cover-Up, aka Rick Gets Beat. Joey inadvertently helps his friend Rick when he discovers that Rick's dad beats him. Stephanie asks for Vula's advice on what clothes to wear for picture day, but Vula refuses to help. I love Rick, as you probably know. He's one of my favorite characters, but I don't enjoy watching this episode. Maybe it's because I don't want to see this happen to Rick. Maybe it's like hard to watch. I'm not quite sure what the reason is, but also, I mean, there's no fun happening in this episode. Maybe it's because it's just all sad stuff. I don't know. I don't skip this one when I'm doing a rewatch, but I kind of want to. Least favorite episode, number 3. Nothing to Fear, aka LD is sketchy. LD has trouble dealing with her father's hospitalization, which elicits painful memories of her mother's death. A search party is organized for the school snake. I feel like they went about this episode in a really weird way. LD, her response is believable. Okay, like, it's a realistic response. She's internalizing everything. But because of that, the whole thing is just pretty boring. We never see her visibly upset, visibly crying. There's no drama, I guess you could say. But instead, she just looks like a sketchy liar. She's not going, I'm so scared, I'm so upset. She just is like, sorry, can't make it. So it's frustrating in 2 ways. It's frustrating because of the way LD is going about all of this. And it's also frustrating because I feel like this episode could be a little more emotional. And not saying that people can't relate to it, because I feel like a lot of people can, but I just would have liked to be able to have more of that palpable fear conveyed in this episode. I mean, even when she thought her dad died, all she did was just take her hat off. And we know LD can have outward feelings because we saw her have a breakdown when she was in the hospital many years later. Least favorite episode, number 4, A Helping Hand, aka Mr. Colby. They should have just called this episode Mr. Colby. Lucy is pleased when a substitute teacher gives her special attention and is unable to see his real intentions. What? That's a terrible sentence. Okay, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't want to remove this episode from the show. Like, I don't hate this episode. Obviously, it's a very important subject, and I'm glad that this issue is touched on. No pun intended. But obviously, it's not like a fun, cool, enjoyable episode. It's an uncomfortable episode, but as it should be. But that's why I'm putting it on the list, just because it's kind of yucky. Least favorite episode number 5. He's back, aka Mr. Colby Part 2, aka the resurrection of Mr. Colby. The teacher who sexually harassed Lucy returns to Degrassi and sets his sights on an unwary Susie. Obviously, this episode is on the list for all the same reasons, and it's just hard to watch him do this all over again. And I hate when he's like following Lucy around when she's trying to run away from him. Least favorite episode number 6, Season's Greetings, aka the Arthur and Yick Retrospect Clip Show. This is my least favorite. I actually hate this episode. This is the only one, really. As Christmas approaches, memories of their strong friendship help the feuding Arthur and Yick to patch things up. Shane gets to hold his daughter Emma when she has to come to school with Spike. So a lot of shows have these kind of collage, memory collage episodes where the whole episode is just clips from past episodes. I have always hated that. Apparently it's called a clip show. I already saw this. Why are you showing it to me now? You could be showing me a new episode. And it's sad because the B plot is Shane meeting Emma and, all the kids crowding around Emma and all that. I like that moment, but it's not worth the stupid Arthur and Yick collage. How come out of all the characters on Degrassi Junior High, Arthur and Yick get the spotlight on them? How come nobody else gets a clip show? Does anyone even care about little baby Arthur and Yick? I mean, they're okay and everything, but and it's a real shame because this is the only episode that has good lighting in it, and it's a complete waste. Least favorite episode number 7, Making Whoopee, aka Arthur's dad gets laid. Arthur begins to resent his father's girlfriend. Melanie has new competition for Snake's affections, and Luke tries to deal with his guilt over Shane's accident. Does anyone find Arthur relatable? Did anyone love Arthur? Did anyone feel represented by Arthur? Is he anyone's favorite character? I'd like to know. Okay, so yeah, Arthur's dad and his girlfriend, it's kind of gross. I know it's supposed to be gross. We're supposed to be a little uncomfortable. I mean, but this episode's not that bad. It does have a special place in my heart because when I was a guest on the I'm in Love with a Girl Named Spike podcast, I guested on the episode where we covered this episode. Okay, so now we're gonna go on to Degrassi High. My least favorite episode number 8 is Dream On, aka Arthur gets rejected by Caitlin. Arthur develops a crush on Caitlin. Kathleen falls for an older guy. Okay, so really the reason why I don't like this episode is because it really hurts to see Arthur get rejected. It just hurts. I don't know why he thought he had a chance. I know that sounds really mean, but he really did. He really thought he had a chance. And it's just so sad to see him get crushed. He must have been blinded by love, though, because he literally, couldn't tell that not only does she have a boyfriend, but she's also, all over another guy all up in the halls. And he just still thought he could slide in there. Sorry, that sounded kind of gross. Least favorite episode number 9, Tangled Web, aka Assorted Family Problems. Wheels' lying gets out of hand. Caitlin is upset about her father's infidelity. Again, I don't really have anything against this episode, but it's hard to handle. It's hard to watch Wheels just being like this and seeing how he treats his grandma. I feel so bad for his grandparents all the time. And Caitlin is just a really a dark and stormy rain cloud. Although I really hate her dad too. I don't like that whole situation. Again, though, I'm not mad that it's in the show. I think it should be in the show. But I'm not oh boy, let's put on Tangled Web. Also, the Zits get stranded in this episode too. It's just a whole bunch of bad stuff happening, and that's it. Least favorite episode number 10, Crossed Wires, aka Just as Friends means Don't Kiss Me. Tim's goodnight kiss awakens bad memories for Liz. Joey is not happy with his house guest. So this episode really pisses me off because Liz goes on a date with Tim. Okay, I don't like Liz, alright? But that's beside the point. Liz made it clear, just as friends, just as friends, just as friends. And Tim's like, yeah, of course. And he still tries to kiss her. No means no. I don't understand. And then they made Tim look like such a victim, like, oh, I wouldn't hurt a fly. Just as friends means don't kiss me on my doorstep. That is inexcusable. And Tim being the sweet little, oh, no. Take responsibility for your actions. Okay, and then, of course, this episode is also really difficult because we get a little peek into Liz's past of abuse. Which, yeah, Liz freaking sucks, but, you know, I don't want that for her. Oh yeah, and then Wheels is crashing with Joey at this point, and Joey's really starting to not like it. And that's also kind of sad and tense, you know. And for the honorable mention, I wanted to throw in Home Sweet Home, aka Wheels is homeless. First of all, Wheels doesn't have a place to live, and he's like running around begging everyone. It's just like, it's a mess. It's sad. But then also, Michelle moves back in with her father, like letting him win. I guess everything doesn't get tied up in a neat, happy bow, but I was really rooting for her. Okay, there we go. I did my best to come up with my top 10 least favorite episodes of DJH and DH. Like I said, the only one I really hate is Season's Greetings. And that's just because I hate clip shows. But this is hard, because that show is freaking good. And every episode depends on each other. And like, just because the A plot was bad doesn't mean the B plot wasn't awesome. And that's something we saw in a lot of these episodes. So anyway, let me know what some of your least favorite DJH episodes are. And let me know if you have any recommendations for another Degrassi video. And I guess that's all I have for you. So I will see you next time.